Welcome! You've made it! This is Wise Mind Nutrition. So glad you're here. Feel free to get comfortable, make yourself at home, hang out for a bit. My name is Dr. David Wiss. I've been doing one-on-one nutrition counseling with people for over a decade. That's over 10,000 hours of transformative one-on-one work. And I'm here to share with you all the things that I've learned along the way. This app brings you the wisdom that I've collected from working with challenging cases, including eating disorders and people with addictions, trauma, depression, anxiety. I've figured out what are the most important things to focus on, and I've brought it all to you in one place. I'm going to explain the process on how to log your food using the app. I'm telling you, I've seen people just start logging their food and already start having a transformation in their health. The approach here is different from other apps. We're not doing math, we're focusing on nutrition for mental health. So we're gonna leave aside all the quantitative stuff and instead start focusing on the qualitative stuff. You ready? Food logging starts with the photo. You could take it in the app or you could upload it from your photo library. And then it'll ask you if it's a meal or a snack and if you want to attach a label like breakfast, dinner, dessert. And then before you eat, check in with your hunger. We've got a scale that goes from 0 to 10, with 1 being starving, 10 being binge-like fullness. And I'll give you some more details on that soon. And then after the meal, you come back into the app and write down what percentage of the photo you consumed. And then you're going to indicate which of the 6 food groups were present in that meal or snack. We've got fruits, vegetables, grain, dairy or dairy alternative, protein or protein alternative, and beans, nuts, and seeds. And I'll break that down in just a sec. And then you indicate your fullness score. This is the same scale from 0 to 10. How full are you after the meal? And then you have an opportunity to journal thoughts, feelings, behaviors, anything that comes up. It's wise to stick to positive things and be constructive rather than destructive. But of course, feel free to feel free. So here's the Hunger-Fullness Scale. Maybe you've seen one of these before or used it. I found it to be extremely helpful to the communication process between the gut and the brain. Many people who check in before and after meals for just a few weeks start to realize that they're more in touch with their hunger and fullness cues. And this is a really good way to start improving your relationship to food. So here's the scale. As you can see, it goes from 0 to 10. The 0's on there, but it's not common, so we won't discuss it here. But 1 to 10, you can see here from the scale that there's a color coding system to help you. We want to avoid the extremes of hunger and the extremes of fullness. These are indicated in red. And we want to live in the green area. I call it never hungry, never full. Position of neutrality, safe and protected. But of course, don't get too attached to any of these descriptors. As you start logging your food before and after, think about the scale from 1 to 10 and how it applies to you. And then we've got the food group system. Many systems use 5 categories, but I classify foods into 6 categories. The first is fruit, which could be fresh, frozen, or dried. But of course you want to make sure there's adequate amounts of it to count a fruit. So if you have just 3 berries on your bowl of oatmeal, you might not call that a fruit, but if you have maybe triple that, you would say there's a fruit in the oatmeal. Vegetables could be fresh, frozen, oftentimes are used for cooked vegetables. It could be canned, could be fermented vegetables. These all count as a V. So if you have just a teeny bit of cilantro and onion, for example, on a taco, you might not count that as a V. But if you had 2 tacos with lots of it, you could say that there was a vegetable there. You got the gist? Grains include bread, pasta, rice, cereal grains, any kind of whole grain like quinoa, barley, farro, millet, oats, etc. All these fall under the category grains. And now there's one vegetable that we're going to count as a grain, and that's a potato. Because of its starchy nature, we classify it as a grain rather than a vegetable. There's a couple other vegetables that are starchy as well, but let's leave those in the vegetable category. And then we've got dairy, which could be cow, goat, or sheep, or a dairy alternative. If you use almond milks or oat milks or coconut yogurt, any dairy alternative will count as a D. And then we have a category for protein, which is generally animal-based products, eggs, chicken, turkey, fish, meat, or plant-based meat alternatives. So if you eat meat alternatives, these are concentrated proteins, so we'll count them as a protein. This category also includes protein powders. And lastly, we have a category for other sources of plant protein: beans, nuts, and seeds. The Wise Mind Nutrition System classifies these as their own category because we believe they deserve a spotlight. So any bean, nut, or seed will count as a BNS. So just to clarify, if you had peas or soybeans, they would count as a BNS. But if you had pea protein or a tempeh, it would count as a protein. Got it? And there's 3 other foods that people ask about. They don't easily categorize into the 6 food groups, and that is avocados, coconuts, and olives. These are excellent sources of fat that don't fall under those 6 classifications. So if you eat them, please eat them. And here's where it gets good. You'll have a option to set a notification for what we call a nightly review. This is a constructive process when you can look back through your day and answer some simple questions. So the app will do some summarizing for you, tell you how many times you ate that day, and it'll tally up how many times you ate from each of those food groups. So you'll be able to see which food groups might be overrepresented and which might be underrepresented. And you'll have a chance to customize some questions, and feel free to add some considerations to your nightly review, getting a chance to look at things like movement, water, any victories, things you want to celebrate. And then you have a chance to answer the 2 questions. What could I have done better? And what corrective measures can I take tomorrow? So it'll really allow you to review your relationship to food in the context of mental health, and it's just going to force you into a process of growth. If you log your food, check in with your hunger and fullness, indicate which food groups were there, start to look at your distribution of food groups throughout the day, and then engage in a constructive review process, you're going to grow. You're going to improve. Maybe you've struggled with food and body. I think it's time to step into a new chapter and to do so with grace. I'm so thrilled you're here. I can't wait to see your progress. Don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns. We're here for you.